Hey, what's up, dudes? Real quick, today's video is brought to you by Tone Locker. If you haven't gotten on Tone Locker yet, check out the link below in the description. Use my invite code. Tone Locker is an app where you can catalog your gear, add your own gear to your locker, see what other people have got, facilitate trades. You can track the history of your gear, kind of like Carfax for your gear. And they give away stuff pretty much every month just for signing up and inviting your friends. It's a very cool app and some very cool dudes behind it. So check it out, Tone Locker, link in the description. Back to the video. What's up, dudes? HW here. How you doing? How you doing? How are you? It's a beautiful morning. Actually, it's the afternoon over here in Nashville, and I was just playing this this brand new Harley Benton. It's a Harley Benton. Check it out. Look at this purple sparkle right here. Man, I love this thing. What is it? Let me get it right. It's the Harley Benton ST-Modern Plus. Dark purple. It's an S-type object. A soon-to-be illegal guitar. This is not sponsored. Harley Benton didn't send me this. I wish they would have. Tomon didn't send me this. I just saw the spec and I thought this was amazing. American alder. I guess that's an upgrade. Do we have better alder in America? I don't know. Roasted Canadian flame maple. They make good syrup. Why shouldn't they make good maple necks? They got this D shape on here. It's a 12 to 16 radius, which I think is great. Harley Bentons are not my absolute favorite, but they're a solid like 8 out of 10 to me. The D could be a little different, but it grows on you. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I just prefer kind of, if it were my signature guitar, I would do it a little differently. But it's great. Graphite nut, locking tuners, staggered pole pieces right here, or staggered posts here. I don't know why you need the string tree if these are staggered. That's the whole point of these being staggered, is that you don't need the string tree. I'm not sure why that is, why they do it that way. Let me tell you about the two. Tesla pickups. Tesla, I would imagine, is just a house brand of a manufacturer, but I do see Tesla at NAMM trying to find distributors for their pickups. So I drive a Tesla. I don't think it's the same Tesla, but these pickups are pretty good. They're modern. It bothers me that this Tesla logo is white and those are gold. But the guitar looks good, and probably the best feature about this guitar, the absolute best feature that I cannot believe you get on a $340 guitar. All of that is incredible. But this bridge, and I'm not making this up, is the most comfortable 2-point trem I've ever run into. It's a Babix bridge, and this thing is machined so that your hand hits no corners here. There is no corner touching you. I can rub my hand back and forth here. The string, the roughness of the string, the wound string is the roughest thing my hand touches. Most modern bridges that use that are squared, your hand runs into that. And it's always bothered me when I get a bridge like the bent saddles, the bent aluminum saddles, It's always bothered me, or steel saddles, that they're like rough and they don't feel very good. And then on the modern ones, it's like, okay, but I still have this corner edge. This has made me realize that if you just machine this correctly, with just a waterfall edge, it's the most comfortable. I mean, it's more comfortable than my Sur my Sir guitars or anything like that. I mean, it's better. It's better than everything. Better than a Floyd. So this $340 guitar has I think the best 2-point trem that I've seen. I want to see if this Babix bridge, this 2-point bridge, fits on my Sir. Because if it does, I'm going to buy this. Okay, so lately you've probably been watching a lot of YouTube videos that are suggesting Fender could solve all its problems by just making better guitars. Why can't they? Why won't they just make better guitars than everyone else? Instead of suing people and the Dusseldorf Court and this and that, copyright, trademark, patent, instead of all that stuff, cease and desist letters, Fender just make better guitars. But here's the thing, the game has changed. Fender cannot make a better guitar than that at $330, or rather, they won't make a better guitar than that at $330. Can they make a better guitar than that? Absolutely. Can they make a better guitar than that in Ensenada or in America? Yes, they could spec out that guitar. They could make it. It will cost you more money if they do it there. Can they go to World Music or Court or wherever they're going and get a better guitar than that Harley Benton guitar? Yes, they can. They can even say, I want the exact same spec and I want our headstock and I want it to say Fender on it, and they could dupe that guitar, but they will never do it at $330. And here is why. What you have to remember is that when Paul Reed Smith makes a guitar in Maryland, they control that guitar fully. When they make a guitar in, when Fender makes it in Fullerton, Ensenada, and Corona, is what I meant to say. When they made it in Ensenada, when Gibson makes it in Nashville or whatever, you and me are going to get faced with the question, who makes the best guitar, right? And that's going to be up to Fender, what they put in that model, and Gibson, what they put in that model, PRS, what they put in that model, and what they price it at. And it's going to be up to you and me in the sense of, you might always just like Les Pauls more than Strats. But when you go international and you go to these other manufacturers, the playing field is now even. Why is Paul Reed Smith able to go to World Music and say, we want the SE line to be the best value for the dollar out there? We want you to put in more features and we want to charge the customer less. It's not because World Music is charging them less. It's because PRS is willing to make less on those guitars than somebody else. Somebody else could go to World Music and say, I want the exact same spec. And if they're willing to do the same order quantity, which is another thing that's in here, you'll notice Harley Bentons go out of stock a lot. And they don't come back for months and months and months. And that's probably because Harley Benton's placing one big order. Once they sell through the more popular models, they wait to sell through the other ones. They're not interested in blowing these things out. They know they're going to sell. But, you know, the situation is such like this. Fender is a company that was purchased, and the owners of that company see Fender as having all the brand value in the world. And they want to see margin in their products that they sell. And so they want to be able to go to World Music and buy a guitar for $100 and sell it for $250, right? They don't even just want to sell it for $2. They want to be able to sell it for $250 because that Fender name is on there. They want to be able to sell that $100 guitar from World Music for as much as they can to distributors. And that distributor wants to mark it up again. So that $100 guitar, Fender's going to make it into $200 or $250. It's going to go to the dealer, and the dealer is going to mark it up, and that thing is going to be $450 or $500 to you. Okay. PRS is a company that Paul really cares about brand, and Paul really cares about how people view PRS. And that's why you see them doing things like sponsoring online guitar teachers. They've been doing that for years because they can't go back and put a Les Paul or a PRS in Slash's hands instead of a Les Paul. They can't make Jimi Hendrix play a PRS. But what they can do is put a PRS in your teacher's hand and make you see PRS as a professional, high-quality instrument that the best player you know plays. And they've done that for years, by the way. And so that's a company that probably is just willing to say, hey, I'm willing to compress my margin, how much I make on those SEs, because I want to outsell everybody else. We want them to upgrade to the S2, to the Maryland-made guitars. And we want people to see PRS as the best value, never questioning our value. We don't want to put out anything bad, right? And that very much seems to be Paul's ethos. And so they're willing to go to World Music and probably pay $250 for that guitar and probably do it in enough numbers that they can sell it to a dealer at $500. But if it has to be, they got to sell to the dealer at $450 and make less than the full 100% markup, I bet PRS is willing to do that. But the people who own Fender right now are not willing to do that. They don't want to do that. They're not interested in buying Fender and having all that brand value so that they can compress their margins down. Similarly, Harley Benton, Thomann creates Harley Benton. Why? Because they know this is going on. They know that Fender's making a guitar for $100, selling it to them for $200, and they're selling it for $350 or $400. They know that's going on. So Harley Benton just goes to the factory. They go over to World Music or Court or whoever, and they say, hey, you know that guitar you made for Fender? Yeah. The one that costs them $100 if they order this many? Yes. Hey, we want you to make us a guitar for $150. What could you do for $150? Could you put this feature? How could you make it better? And they come back and answer that question. Here's how we could make a better model. Here's what we're making for somebody else. Let's put in this feature. Let's do this to the neck. Let's do that. All the stuff I mentioned that makes that guitar amazing for $330. They do it. And then Harley Benton doubles it or more. And then instead of making less money by selling the Fender at $330, which they had to buy for $150. What I'm saying? Harley Benton then just takes the extra margin, and they're willing to do that, right? Because Thomann just wants to have a house brand because they see what sells and what doesn't. So they're actually selling against their best customer, and this happens all the time. You see this with Kirkland brand or Target brand or Walmart brand, all this stuff, right? Whoever is the distributor that is the best customer of the manufacturer eventually develops something to kind of compete against them, and just so they can gobble up a little more margin. But Harley Benton is willing to compress that margin because that margin is still larger than they'll make by selling a Fender. And so that's why you're able to get a Harley Benton with these features that you just can't get from a Fender. It's not because Fender hates you or Fender doesn't know how to make a better guitar. It's that the Harley Benton spec that gets sold to you for $330, it will not touch your hands with Fender's name on it for less than $500 or less than probably $600. That seems to be the way it's going. And they're just willing, probably on some models, PRS, Harley Benton, these other companies, they're willing to make less on some of these models. They just are, because they don't have in Harley Benton's case, they don't have the brand value that commands a premium. And in PRS's case, PRS is the last great American guitar company. Paul is the founder of that company. His name is on it. That is very different. Leo Fender is not at Fender. Les Paul, Ted McCarty, those guys are not at Gibson, right? It's not their name. It's not their heritage. That's kind of on the line there. So Paul is always going to be unique in that way. PRS, the last great American guitar company. Fender could make this, but it's going to cost you more. And that's just the reality of it. Think of it this way. If everyone is buying their stuff from World Music, if you're Fender, right, and everyone's buying their stuff from World Music or Court or whatever, all you can do is order in larger and larger volume. But if you're not selling enough guitars that you can keep increasing the volume to get it cheaper and cheaper from World Music, or World Music is saying, we actually, our costs are going up too, how are you going to get bigger margin? Well, what you have to do is just start upping your prices without actually changing the cost of the guitar. And another thing you could do is try to get a Court to make it so that no one could make guitars that are better than yours at a cheaper price by trying to protect your shape, right? So it's just another strategy to sort of sell more, make more, do more, because they can't just improve the production in Ensenada and in Corona. They can do that on those guitars, but on the import guitars, they're constantly going to be at a disadvantage from companies who are willing to make less, and companies like Harley Benton, who are really just are just a name. It's just a sticker that's slapped on by Thomann, and really is just a mechanism to create more value for Thomann because they've vertically integrated and bypassed the manufacturer, right? And so if you're someone who's just looking for what's the best Strat I can get sub $400, that answer is always going to be Harley Benton, not Squier, not Fender. It's going to be somebody else.